Hello and well, welcome back if you joined us previously for Clio Cups. If you didn't, well, you missed out on an absolute treat. But it's time now for the grand event as Porsche Cup returns here from Spa. I am Tim Cox with Sam Fitzpatrick and welcome along to what has been so far, I mean, off the scale action and drama wise, I'd say this season, Sam.
It really has been. I think the first couple of events were very strong at Brands Hatch and BIR, but last time out at Monza, one of the best races I've ever seen in series, one of the best races we've had in 2023 on the channel. And you went back and you looked at the biggest moments of the race early on.
Specifically, Sam, I took a look back at that battle for the lead while we're checking out, roll the VT. Last week, Monza. You think with a big grid like this, there's going to be trouble in turn one. It's Monza, isn't it? There's always going to be trouble, but just look at them all. Not one single incident, no death. But it was this battle for the lead. This raged all race long. And we just see here Costa leading the way, but heads into the pits, and this is where it all comes apart for him. He got done for speeding in the pit lane. We've all been there. That was him out of the equation. That left it down then to Marriott. You can just see the Frenchman there. Burke currently in second and Madsen just behind him. Here's Madsen heading through past Matthias Burke. Lovely move up the inside into turn one. The quintessential overtaking opportunity around this track. And it wasn't long after Madsen, wow, took control of the race. Up the inside of Marriott. Job done. Beautiful move there from the, well, former champion. However, they were all saving fuel and saving heavily. And Valga, well, he came through. He was not saving at all. And this is what got interesting. The run down to Parabolica. He's stuck on the inside there. No one where to go. He's got Marriott on the outside. He's then on the inside of him just there. Well, he's moved across there. Is Madsen. And then we had Marriott pushing Valga into the lead. And then this is where things got tricky. Into turn one. Contact between Madsen just over here. You see that bit of contact there, just that little bit of a tap, enough to send him around. And then we got down to a two-way shootout for the lead. Marriott versus Valgot. And while Valgot on the inside through Ascari, full commitment through there. However, not enough to fend off the advances of Marriott, who, well, across the line, despite the attempts from Valgot just here to try and run in deep, right there on the outside, carry that momentum. It was the Frenchman that took the victory. However, it wasn't quite that way because that previous contact that he had with Madsen meant that, well, he lost the race lead due to penalties. However, let's face it, it was an absolutely scintillating finish that kept us enthralled for the whole entirety of the hour. But of course this week, Spa. Spa. Of course, been here with the officials this weekend. Well, it's been interesting to say the least. Mostly for myself because I always struggle around this track, but of course Le Source, wow, that corner, so crucial to setting up a great lap. Really trying to get as close to the inside wall as you possibly can because that's where the time is. However, too close and you're in trouble. Run up the hill through Eau Rouge, Radion, Kemmel Straight, then of course Lacombe, Malmedy, hard on the brakes. Plenty of that curb there on the inside and on through 6, and then likewise just feathering the throttle. There's quite a bit of a runoff area around here on the exit of Malmedy. Quite crucial. It's so easy to run into there. You need to be careful. Bruce Alves, the car, it's just where the track dips down. It's just running away from you, that front end. And then No Name, or Speaker's Corner as it's also called now, and then down into Wolf-Pouon. Again, track still continuing to just, you know, head downwards. Really easy to pick them off track through there especially. And then we're into the Fanges. Well, what can we say? Maybe an overtaking opportunity for these drivers, potentially. If someone's a bit brave, or someone's just got something wrong through Pouon, there's going to be a chance through here into the brakes. Again, great big gravel traps, and again, a bit of a runoff area there. Potential for the drivers for a little bit of a mistake. Then we're through to Campus, Stavolo. Now, Stavolo especially, so crucial for our drivers because you get a bad exit out of there, especially in the early stages. You are going to get swamped all the way through Blanchemont, full commitment. One of the fastest part of the tracks, incredible corner. And then it is all about who is going to be the last of the late breakers into the bus stop chicane, or just chicane it's called now. stopped being a bus stop quite a while ago. Big opportunity there. There always is. But then, if you get it that little bit wrong in the last stages of the lap, the finish line is just after there. So you could end up completely and utterly losing the race. Who's going to gamble? Who's going to be most committed? Well, we'll find out tonight. And Sam, Spa tonight, as we've seen from the track guide, well, also we've seen from the Clio Cups earlier, this is going to be, I'm just fascinated to see how this one's going to pan out. We saw a lot of action and drama and a bit of tactical playing, you know, in terms of making moves from the Clios. More the same here. I mean, we've got a different format as well. Of course, the heat format coming up for you tonight. 2 heats with the top. Have you been a bit more generous? Because it was only top 7, was it, last week?
You're getting confused between series now.
So I'm getting confused with F4 as well that I'm covering. That's also in the heat format.
Top 12 get through from each of the heats, and then the rest of the drivers will go through to the B final. We're expecting about 18 drivers or so in the B final tonight, and the top 6 from that will also get through to the A final. I mean, the A final will have about 30 minutes, and you can see the times for each of those races up on screen as well. Yeah, will be. I don't think the same level of slipstreaming, because crucially, Eau Rouge in these cars isn't easy flat. I don't think it's flat at all. Even in GT3 cars, you're really pushing it, and these things are slightly slower than GT3 cars. So you sort of have that straight sort of turned into 2 straights and a little bit of turbulence as well up the hill. So I don't think it'll be quite the same, but at the same time, I think the field is close around this circuit. So we will still have some slipstreaming, but I think we're not going to see drivers leave it till the last corner to make a move. I think you want to be ahead with sort of 3 to go, and then you feel confident that you can defend from that point onwards. So realistically, overtaking into Lacombe rather than leaving it to the bus stop, you think? I think so. I think that's the wise thing to do for a lot of these drivers. But of course, when it comes to the heat format, or the heats in particular, you need to weigh up, is that worth it? Potentially going around the outside of Lacombe, it's a notoriously narrow corner and it can be very risky. Some of our championship leaders are going to be very much in play for that one. And of course, Maxime Marriott taking the race win last time out across the line, but didn't take home the race victory once the penalties were applied, was dropped down into 3rd position. So that's mixed up the points a little bit going into this round. Instead, Mario Velkert taking that race win last round, but still Mario with a 6-point advantage after 3 rounds. That's close, isn't it? Nicholas Nord, who's been the sleeping giant, hasn't had anything too spectacular the last couple of rounds, but you know, it's just that level of consistency that's got him up into 3rd. Yeah, I think that's going to be very. I think there's still 5 or 6 drivers who can contend for that one. Madsen had with a poor start to the season, had a qualifying ban at VIR, really only showed his potential at Monza, was unlucky not to win, honestly. And Monza's looked very strong in practice so far tonight. In the Porsche Cup Pro-Ams, we've got Yatortas leading the way by a huge lead, and I mean, he's 3rd place in the overall championship as well. He's actually scored more points than any other Pro-Am in every single round so far this season. We'll see Del Piccolo and Afonso going to round out your top 3 there, with Albert Quattrop, Kevin Richard and Corey Lazarus there running at your top 6. Are we... I know it's very early in the season, Sam, and you know what I'm going to say. Is this Drysdale? Yes. Is this going to be another Mitchell Drysdale Pro-Am winning overall? I don't think so. I don't think Yatos has got quite the same level of pace. I think there's so many top pro drivers as well. I think it's very unlikely. But I can see him being up there for the first half of the season, certainly. In the Amateur Championship, very mixed up as we anticipated. No one's really put their foot on this title so far. Pasquale leading the way, but 93 isn't a particularly high total when you're talking over 300 for the pros. Remember, these drivers are all in the same point system, and so these AMs, you know, you can score 93 in a single round. You can score 130 in a single round. So, like, I think there's drivers who have not scored a single point. There's a couple of new amateur drivers to the championship. I wouldn't rule them out of the title, even 3 rounds in, because no one has had a perfect round of it so far in the AMs. They haven't, and that's the fascinating thing about AMs, is that if you make it, especially if you make it straight from your heat straight into the final, you get in one of those crucial transfer spots, then all of a sudden you're on for a bumper payday in terms of points.
even if you completely flop in the final, let's say, and come home last.
Yeah, and in the A final, you're always going to have 4 or 5 drivers who are going to have problems. So even like me or you, Tim, could just sit at the back at that one and probably get 25th and score a handful of extra points. So that's very much possible for the drivers. In the Teams Championship as well, Mag Performance at the moment at the top of this one, but it's not a big gap over Impulse Racing, ATRS, but even Kairos and Core and even Blackout Motorsport not that far behind. Remember, 3 drivers, or maximum of 3 drivers per team. Some teams have 2 drivers, and the top 2 scorers from each round contribute to the team points. Yeah, I think when it comes to, I'm happy that we've got the elimination format back. I really enjoyed the 1 hour race last time out, Tim, but I think it's a nice surprise for a driver. It will catch them off guard. But the elimination, I'm very happy to be back.
It's nice as a little one-off treat, isn't it?
Or 3 off treats, because we have it 2 more times this season.
We do, but we've got to wait a little later in the season for those, of course. But that being Le Mans, I'm so looking forward to that one. One of my favourite tracks in the world. Many people call it boring, but I still love it. I don't care. Yeah, he also hates Daytona as well. And then Nürburgring combined to round out the season. Obviously, it has to be an hour because of, well, it takes about half an hour to get around there anyway, as standard. So we need to have obviously the much longer race rather than the heat format. Although I think heat format racing around the Nordschleife, well, that's the combined circuit, I think could be an entertaining one to say the least. I mean, yeah, what a way to close out the season, really. Yeah,
and Sebring, of course, next week as well for both the Porsche Cups and the Clio. So always a very popular circuit for lots of the drivers. Do you not like Sebring?
No, I can't stand it.
No, I mean, I'm rubbish around there, so I don't take it.
I'm rubbish around there, it's flat. There's no points of interest, it's bumpy, and it's pointless in my view.
There you go. Not touched a nerve whatsoever there.
No.
Shall we go over to qualifying and see what the points are, or the standings are right now?
Let's go across as we head to, we'll quick break, we'll be on the other side, live trackside from Spa. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back, welcome back. Qualifying underway at Spa in the Apex Racing Academy Porsche Cup Season 7 here on Apex Racing TV. Sam, sit rep. Currently about 3 laps into qualifying. Maxime Marriott leading for Maniti. Nick Madsen is in second, but due to the heat format, all the drivers qualifying odd places go into Heat 1, all those in even go into Heat 2. So currently, Marriott is pole in Heat 1, Madsen is pole in Heat 2. I think maybe a good thing those two kept apart after last week's shenanigans, shall we say, from Monza. Don't want no Spa shenanigans here. Helga and Hammer, they're the 2 Germans. They will be joining Marriott and Madsen on the front rows, respectively. However, cut to him at perfect time. Victor Taras, I mean, a Pro-Am who'll be starting on the 2nd row of the grid in Heat 1 as things stand at the moment, and is only one 1/100th ahead of Jordan, but equally, I mean, what's a couple of attempts behind Hammer in 4th. He is on fire here today.
Nice setup as well. I'm liking the green lights. So certainly up there in the
Apex Racing Academy green, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so. I think that is maybe the best Pro-Am green as well. So he's got everything sorted. He's a man. He's a man in 5th place. He's got his life sorted as Victor Terrace. He's on a high right now. However, we do of course like Tiago Pereira's webcam. Of course, any drivers watching this back who want to have their webcam on, and why wouldn't you want to? Do check out the announcements channel, and you can get signed up for that for future rounds. Pereira around the final corner, currently sitting in 16th place, only just behind Mateus Burke, who remember was fighting for the win last time out. Pereira improves slightly and moves up into 15th place, but I'm a little bit surprised. Salvatore Lane was really quick in practice, only down there in 14th place, only 5th place out of the Pro-Ams, as Mayo Vilga has just gone up into 2nd place, as Lane does improve to 11th.
Interesting for me to see how it gets on tonight is Keanu Bushman, one of our new drivers. 7,000 iRating, so that's just not the same as Marriott and Velgert. So I would expect to see him, up there with them. However, 1.1 seconds off the pace is the German, and I tell you what, that top half of the standings is starting to look, very, the Germans are really starting to dominate that one. There's a lot of them. They're really, well, so they should do technically. It is a German car. Of course, Porsche in Stuttgart, where they come from. And also, one of 2 cars to feature a prancing horse in their logo.
What, Porsche? Okay, yeah.
Not a lot of people know that. That's the other one being Ferrari, and for exactly the same reason.
Speaking of Kiani, he's moved up to 11th place. So he's doing fairly good right now. 4 of them up in the top 11, 5 of them in the top 13. Thomas Cope, who of course won at Brands Hatch, only down in 14th place, so it's quite a mixed up field at the moment. And how does Tortas, who has been consistently up there in the podium places, he's down in 21st position for Over the Limit Racing. So yeah, some drivers having a tough time of it, and honestly I think the biggest shock is the fact that Marriott's got 3.5 tenths on the rest of the field. That is a huge margin for this series. You'd expect 3.5 tenths to cover the top 5.
Sam, let's talk qualifying bans. There's a couple of drivers having to serve them for this race. Max Wangler, one of them. His teammate Dominic Roberts having all their times deleted so far. I tell you what, Aidan Young as well. He's run relatively strongly in the pro category this season. Another one having all of his times deleted so far. Those two have completed 4 and 3 laps respectively. However, Wangler obviously not out in qualifying. He's one of those drivers on that list, along with
Gareth Higgins?
Yes.
And Tommy Molliard.
There we go.
So yeah, those guys with quality bans, which of course are penalties from previous rounds, as Pascal Costa, he got a penalty last time out for speeding in the pit lane. It denied him a chance, and you have to think, had he put enough fuel in the car, he would have probably won last time at Monza. But
say about fuel, Sam, it sounded like he was chugging as he came across the line then.
Yeah, he may well have misjudged it, so yeah, could not put in that last lap time. As the first heat is preparing, and well, you thought that we were going to divide these guys up, but it's not worked, because look at that front row.
We were originally, as things stood earlier on. However, you just can't keep them apart, can you? Maxi Merritt starts on par with Nick Madsen. Joining him on the front row of the grid, Victor Taras, the Pro-Am driver, starts from 3rd. That's right, 3rd. He's got Pascal Costa alongside him on the 2nd row. Andrea Del Piccolo, he's got Keanu Bushman for company on the 3rd row. There's Igor Kos and Matthias Burke. But look at that top 6. Only 2 of them are not either German or Danish. Top 10, that's run out by Corey Lazarus and Kevin Richard, the all Pro-Am row to run out your top 10. It's Haradash Tortas, well down in terms of Pro-Ams. Alexandria Chalet joins him on the 6th row of the grid. Row 7 sees Nathan Willoughby for your top AM qualifier against Samuel Sprout. Daniel Zanon has Zaharia for company, Pasquale and Chris Rance. They join each other for row 9, with row 10 being Dominic Roberts and Tommy Molliard. Of course, Molliard being on the driver's serving qualifying ban. That only applies to the first heat. Paul Joseph Clist, his last car, 21st. We've just seen him in the Clios, and I think he'd be hoping for a bit of, he didn't run too badly, did he? And I'm sure he'd be hoping for a bit more of a even better run here.
Yeah, he actually drove a very good race too, did Clist, kept it clean, I think was 13th by the end of it, so that was a good effort from him. I would say that top 8 is super competitive. To have Koss and Burke in 7th and 8th, they would be very disappointed if they finished their heats in that position. Madsen doing his typical thing, he left it to 3 seconds to go last time out at Monza, and he's done another 3 seconds, so he's really getting good at leaving us hanging on the grid.
Here we go. Here come the lights. Let's get ready to go racing from Spa for the first time this evening, in the second series this evening, as we agree and we head down to La Source. Here we go, folks. Buckle up, strap in, because this is gonna be epic. So everyone getting away clean. I'm just looking into the background. Yeah, everyone's made it through and clean and clear. And Victor Taras, the Pro-Am driver, is up into second right now. Bushman, he's picked up 2 in these early stages. Dom Roberts from the back, watch out for him, the pro driver, at 4 places in the 15th already. As we look back from Maxime Marriott, and there's a duel going on. It's Taras on the right of your screen. It's Madsen on the left, and onto the brakes. And they are, I think
Madsen's off the circuit. Madsen's going to go very wide. He's going to lose more places. He's at least lost 1 more because Keanu Bushman, who's had a brilliant start, Bushman up 3 places if he can make this one stick. But I think the Danish driver of Madsen going to have the upper hand, the ATRS driver attacking the background of Matthias Berg. So Madsen hanging on to 3rd place against Bushman. Berg getting past Del Piccolo and Costa, losing out a few places. Wasn't the best qualifying in the first place for Costa, but he's now down to 7th place as a slightly slow driver on the outside there. I think that's Costa losing even more places. It's a nightmare start for one of the favourites for the side, for a former champion as well, and he's now being joined by Halder Sutortis.
Ion Kost has got, well, the Chalet as he's battling side by side with. And look who's in the background, Dom Roberts, up 7 places already, Sam. On the back of the grid, up into 12. And he's knocking on the door of those transfer spots, Sam, isn't he?
Well, yeah, top 12 do get straight through, so he's done enough so far, has Roberts. That'll be a much better start than I think what he was anticipating. Thought he would take a few more laps. But Marriott, surprising that he got so far away. Brilliant drive from Taras, because I don't think Madsen really messed up the source that much. It looked like it was a decent run for him. But just on the exit, Taras having much better acceleration and then really held first well. We've got a driver off into wall. It's Corey Lazarus with a really good start. I think he's hit the wall, yeah, so he's bounced back onto circuit and will need to use a fast repair, I believe. And we've now got another spin. It's for his teammates, Samuel Sproul.
Clist making contact, and well, there was only a light tap, so they should be okay. Willoughby, I think, maybe caught up in that too. Yeah, he's dropped 6 places. The start that Willoughby would have hoped for his teammates. Roberts running well still inside the top 12, but Zanon has capitalised from all that chaos, and he's now up into 11th, into the automatic transfer box, as Madsen has dropped. Nice. He's back to 3rd, getting past Bushman. And I'll tell you what, he's closing down on Taras now, the Romanian. Looking a little bit vulnerable here, but he's going to cover off this inside, Sam.
Yeah, and this is pretty much exactly what we saw on lap 1. Last time Taras was overhauled on, this time Madsen far too much speed. I think Taras realises that Madsen is one of the most aggressive drivers out there. He's not going to stop attacking, and so in order to avoid them going alongside every single time to Lagoon, probably best to just let the Danish driver go. Actually, not with a particularly good start to this lap, so Madsen's still marginally within slipstream range, but judging by qualifying, it does seem like Marriott has a bit of a buffer to the rest of the drivers around this circuit. So just starting to kind of get into position. That top 12 looking fairly strong. Zanon, an outer driver looking to get through right now. He's got a second back to Kevin Richard. But all the pros, as it stands, will move through into the A final.
And the driver being Zanon. That's the exciting part for me, Sam. What can Taras do? Of course, as much as it's about getting through to the next, well, straight into the final, ideally for 12 of our drivers here, it's also about, you know, where you start as well. So we look at a replay of the start here. I mean, everyone getting away relatively cleanly. I think, you know, we had a clean start on Monza. It's carried over here. It's a Spa.
Yeah, no, I didn't realise that actually Taras was underneath Madsen almost immediately off the line. So actually made that move fairly simply, and Madsen didn't do anything particularly outrageous there. Then you've got the likes of Koss and Costa making their way. But Madsen just, going off the circuit and initially lost out that position as Taras on live pictures, you can see in the bottom right, going wide, and that will drop him down a few places. Fortunately, it's not lap 1, but it's still fairly nasty slowdown, as that was Costa being pushed out at No Name corner, and that's part of the reason why he lost a few places, but apparently he'd already lost 3 places before that.
Taras has gone from battling with Manson for second to now being, well, 4th in class.
Still serving it.
This is painful to watch. There goes Roberts. It's a bit of a gap back to Zanon, but he's going to be going slow all the way up the hill. You know, doesn't have the momentum, the speed of the other cars. Heading through Rouge and Radion, and that's going to hurt him from top speed. And look who's closing behind. It's Zanon, Richard, Lazarus, and Co. As this is Chalet. A bit of a, well, trying to defend from Bushman, make contact there. Roberts straight into, well, join the fight instantly.
So something happened to Bushman then, didn't it? So Bushman,
yes,
I think, must have collided then with Taras. We may have seen that on live pictures. I wasn't looking at the live pictures at the time. As Roberts now underneath, and Dominic Roberts, who was so strong, remember, at Brands Hatch, he actually won Heat 2 at Brands Hatch. And
was Pro-Am at that stage as well.
And was a Pro-Am.
Kind of promoted him to Pro.
Yes, got promoted to Pro, of course, his first season in Apex Racing League. So that's part of the reason why he got promoted up. But he was absolutely fantastic in that round. Then had a qualifying ban, I think, at VIR. Had a poor qualifying at Monza, if I recall correctly, and I think got wiped out. Maybe even had a pit lane start as well, actually, for Monza as well. But he's finally being able to show his potential. He's up there in 9th place in what I cannot stress is a very highly competitive heat. And by the way, how does Tortoise is up into 6th place? I sort of missed that a bit, but I think he's got past Costa in the last couple of laps. How does Tortoise with really good pace, and Costa up into 5th place as well. So those two with a bit of an underrated kind of start. I feel like they're outside the top 10 one lap in, but they're up into 5th and 6th now. So good driving from the pack.
Yeah, Del Piccolo as well. I mean, the Pro-Am's really having a strong showing here. Kevin Richard's just got past Zanon for the last of the transfer spots. He's up into 12th. To see our leader, Maxime Marriott, being hunted down by Nick Madsen. I mean, Sam, surely they can't come to blows again. I mean, it's only Heat 1. They know it will cost them both dearly.
Richard's had to come to the pits, and Taras, I think the two of them have made contact. Well, you got to think.
There's Taras. Oh, no.
Oh, no. So Richard was already battling with Zanon, and then Taras must have been involved somehow. I think he was only just behind those drivers, so it's very possible that they made contact. I don't know why Richard's coming to pits. Could be incidents, but they have 16 to play with, so I doubt it's incidents. No, not 16 yet. No, here we go for the lead. Madsen looking at it. I think there is a bit of oh, that's a huge slide for Madsen. He's gone off the circuit once before. Well, he's not leaving anything on anything to spare, and he's just at the fast lap of the race. Madsen has got the pace there. It looks after qualifying, maybe Marriott was in a league of his own. By no means Madsen can take this race win tonight.
Further down through the field, this is Koss versus Costa. The battle for 6th. And I'll tell you what, Costa is not giving this one up without a fight.
I think he's just lost out on the Tortoise as well, as Costa. He was up in 5th.
He was. He's dropping through the order a little bit, of course. Like you were saying earlier, Sam, was leading. If it hadn't been for that speeding incident, what would have happened last time out at Monza? Well, look who's behind them. Look who's behind them. Bushman, who's dropped a few places you mentioned, and Roberts up an incredible 10 places tonight. Started on the last complete row off the grid. So he had 21 cars in this heat, so that's why it's like, we had one incomplete row. But even so, I mean, made up progress early on. It's what you need to do to get yourself in this final, especially as a pro driver, Sam. Otherwise, you have to do it the hard way. And we've seen, we've seen many a pro driver not make it.
Yeah, many pro drivers have missed that. Oh, we've got a crash. It's Del Piccolo has gone off into the wall. I think that's by himself, because he was quite comfortably in 4th place. He's putting the throttle down. Maybe it's the hardware failure because the wheel is locked. Now something's magically changed and he's back going again. Pasquale up into 12th place. That's the way to go. And driver storms straight past. So we've now got 2 AMs looking like they'll get through. Zanon, who just a lap ago looked like he was missing out, he's now comfortably inside there. And even Willoughby will be thinking that there's a small chance if something happens ahead of him.
I mean, Moyod into the pits as well, Sam.
Yeah, so Moyod had a collision earlier on in this lap, maybe with Samuel Sproul or Zaharia. I think it was with Zaharia. But I saw the 2 of them drop down. Costa's now dropping down. He's crashed at Radion. How much damage is on that car? He's got 10 seconds to play with, otherwise he may not get through.
It's a big cloud of smoke, Sam, on the way up there. I think he might have lost the rear coming across the curves, maybe into the first part of Radion, possibly. Sortus, though. He's up into 4th. I mean, it looked like he was struggling in qualifying. I mean, dare I say it, maybe underperformed by his championship standings position. But, well, white flag's in the air. I'll tell you what, well, they would have taken it last time around. I realised we're already at the 10-minute mark. Where has that gone already? Yeah, great result for him. He's going to be on to what will be the 4th row of the grid. That's not going to be a bad result in the final as things stand at the moment, but we know it's not done and dusted. We've seen how many drivers have fallen by the wayside. I mean, Willoughby found right to the back early on. He's now into 13th, but he's got 2 seconds to make up on Pasquale. Zanon and Pasquale going to be the 2 AM drivers at the moment to progress straight into the final. Who would have thought that? As we're going to lose the likes of Taras as well.
As this is for pole position for the 8th final, you do get points for your heat, so this does matter for the heats as well. I think Madsen, if he has a chance, he'll go for it, but they won't be putting it all on the line. It's just 1500ths separate the 2 of them.
Onto the brakes. Here we go. Is anything going to happen? Madsen has a look at Marriott. Flashing the memory at the chicane at Monza. They back out of it. And Marriott's going to take it over Madsen. Burke is going to run out your podium. With across the line comes Yatsortis Kos. Keanu Bushman. Great result for him in his debut. Dom Roberts, well done him. An incredible 12 positions to come home 7th. Chalet, the Pro-Am driver. Costa makes it through in the end. Lazarus, and then the 2 AM drivers, Zanon and Pasquale. They all go 12 through straight into the final. Great result for them. And well, failing to make it through are Willoughby, Sprout, Rance, Taras, Zaharia, Moyod, Clist, Richard, and Del Piccolo. Gutting for Del Piccolo because he was on an absolute flyer, and then clearly that hardware failure that it's got to have been what caused things and prevented him from heading through into the finals. Just wait for the last couple of drivers to come through across the line.
Bit of an issue for Paul Joseph Clist, it seems, at the end there, because he lost out to both Moyod and Richard on that last lap, so he'll be starting fairly far down in the B final. But yeah, there's some competitive drivers who missed out there. You know, Taras and Kay will all be storming their way up, but let's see who's going to join them, because well, that's the Heat 1 results. Top 12 getting through. Before this Heat 2, we have got Mario Velkert on the pole position. Philip Hammer starting in 2nd place. Then it is Samuel Jordan, João Alfonso, Albert Quattrop, Salvatore Lane, Thomas Cope, who remember was championship leader after the first round, Pereira, Nold, Lauscher in his first meeting of the season, Sorchuk, Young in 12th place. And then in 13th it is Ed Eisenring, top of the AMS, Seifert, Stromeria, Boykema, Berg, Espidana in his first ever meeting, Furt Wangler, who had a qualifying ban, and Sevilla and Pahontu rounding out the 21 cars.
Here we go, Sam. Here come the lights. Let's get ready to go racing from Spa for the 2nd time this evening as we are green. And we are going. Is it going to be a clean getaway? Well, they're bunching up in the midfield. They're going 3 wide, maybe even a 4 wide in the background there. But up front, Valga is going to take the whole shot, and there's contact here, and there's a car around, and that is Young.
Valga with a half-second lead already, enough to potentially break the draft. Jordan up 1 place, Quattrop up 1 place, and Cope up 1 place as well. He was right on the inside as they're all risking it over the curb. I think someone's got a slowdown right there. it may have been João Alfonso seemingly cutting the circuit too much. At the moment, he's not dropping too much time, but there you can see the 273 slow on the inside. It is Albert Quattrop who has got a slowdown, and they're all pushing it right through Radio.
I think there's two more cars there, Sam, having to service. They're going to go 3 wide into Lacoon. And hold tight, everyone. Couldn't they make it through? They do somehow. Third Wrangler, you see him being held up there with those cheering flags. Whoa, and down they go. And that is Dan Berg. Does he make contact? Oh, he's just avoided the wall there by the skin of his teeth. As all up front, Tiago Pereira running wide with that Sevilla.
Also, incredible start for Seifert and Stromeri. How have they gained 8 places? Incredible stuff for those guys.
And drivers as well, Sam. More AM drivers potentially making it through to the final.
And Lane as well with a strong start. He recently got past Nicholas Nord a bit. Nord has gained a lot of places himself, so a big mix-up so far. Espadino as well, and in his first ever Apex racing, he started up 7 places, so it didn't seem like there was a whole lot of chaos. I know there was a few spins here and there for Young and Co, but some absolutely huge change. Some drivers nailing that start, and of course a few drivers getting those slowdowns well, which you didn't see too much in Heat 1, but it is very easy to see when you're in the slipstream and when you've got the turbulent air on the first lap.
This is Quattrop versus Afonso, side by side for a fast part of the circuit, and look at Cope trying to sneak his way through here as well. They're nearly losing control, but they all make it through, as Quattrop having to defend from Afonso here. And I think, is there someone? No, I thought there was someone around in front of him. No, but Quattrop loses out from the wheel-to-wheel contact. Oh wow, Cope sneaks through, but manages to keep at bay Espadana just behind him for now. Still inside that top 10. And this is, hey, well, the sun is shining for the AMs as we head through the source.
We're now up down to 13th place. Who is going to be ahead through Eau Rouge and Radion. It's not wise to go side by side here, and you realise that did Pereira backing out of it, being the smart driver there. But it's actually left him vulnerable because now Furtwängler has got past well. Remember, Furtwängler with a qualifying ban, hence why he started so far down the order. Cope getting past Afonso just in the background, but Philip Hammer keeping tabs with Mario Velgut. The gap 7/10 of a second as it stands. As I think Cope actually lost a little bit of time there. There was some contact with Afonso, who will have to serve a slowdown, and Cope should move past down the middle sector of this lap.
There we go. He's through. Afonso runs out right, and oh, he's absolute cruel, Sam. He's got to be desperate. Look at the places he's losing, and goes from what, 8th all the way down to 15th. This is the Portuguese driver for Core Motorsport. Let's take a little look back to the start, and wow, it was Aidan Young, just the one got unlucky, got tagged in the midfield there and sent around.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for him. I also saw Cope as well right on the inside here. It was just a tap from... Still not familiar with his liveries, honestly. I think it was... Or Sorchuk. And then that was one of the Olympus cars going off the circuit. I just missed who that was. I think it may have been Clist. Or maybe Cope.
It'll be Cope.
Yeah. Yeah, because Cope did lose a few places, which we initially didn't see, and then now some second-day contacts with Quattrop dropping a few places right there.
It's back at live. Let's take a bit of a... Well, was Furtwängler going right round the outside there and avoids all the contact somehow. Overtakes and avoiding incidents. Max Furtwängler, take your hat off to you. He's had an incredible 8 so far. He's flying. Cope versus Stromeri. Stromeri loses out and gets well. The Freely Wrapped Squad Corsa driver there, holding on for dear life. That bucking Bronco with a Porsche 911 Cup car. And you can see, I tell you what, Cope, the different line there, he sort of opened up the corner a lot more compared to Stromeri.
You're right, and that was some very good driving there. You can actually at least it used to be the case that you could cut the first part of a region enough to get an off track, as we have got 3 wide heading into Lake Coombe. But Vangler trying to make up more positions here. This is for P11, and he's made it stick. Afonso getting back up into P12. He's done a really good job there after dropping as low as 15th. He can't make that move stick forever because his teammate Pereira is currently underneath him. And here comes Espedina, who has been as high as 10th place earlier on in this event. He remains in 14th, but Lauscher, who's an established driver in Apex Racing League, has taken part in, I believe, the Porsche Cup before, but certainly in past Apex Racing League series, he is in play. But Thomas Cope, he is making his way through. Good pace for Cope. Awful qualifying for him. Remember, he won back at Brands Hatch and hopefully deservedly well on pace. There's no way he should have been qualifying so as he did, but it looks like if he can make this move, he'll be starting in the top 12 for the A final.
Look back from Seifert. That is Cope behind us. These guys have really dropped off behind Nold. Nold is nearly 6 seconds and change up the road. And the more that they keep battle, the more that this gap is going to grow. I mean, Seifert is 6th, and he is an AM driver, Sam. He's well inside here. I think he's surely going to be happy just to, well, I would say, just even lose a place or two and still be happy. But I'd say what, Cope is pushing and squeezing and desperate to try and find a way past him.
I think he is letting that one go fairly easily. It's Seifert. He's been part of the series from the start. There's a bit of contact now with Stromeri, and that is the amateur lead gone. So that was one move. It held him back, and perhaps some over-aggressiveness there from Stromeri. I'm not quite sure. And this is when Seifert needs to remain level-headed, remain rational, and not fight over-aggressively with these other drivers. He's almost tagged again in the rear as Kotchup and Sorchuk catch up to these pair.
Well, Storchuk nearly made contact with Quattrup coming into La Source. Meanwhile, up front, what is happening? Well, Valgert still leading from Hammer. And as we see Samuel Jordan here, not able to, I mean, really catch up to Hammer, who's, I mean, he looks absolutely consistency. Certain Valgert continuing in that rich vein of form that he seems to be providing himself with right now. As Afonso still desperately trying to get past his teammate Pereira here. Can't get it done, and
bit of a slide as well for Espedina in the background. By the way, 3 Portuguese drivers all in a line.
We do like patterns, don't we, Sam?
We do like patterns.
And they are behind 2 Germans in a row. There's also 2 Germans leading.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the Pro and the AM and the Pro-Am are a bit jumbled up. We haven't got the...
While we were talking, Sam, look, Quattrup and Sorchuk have got past Seifert in, well, up into 8th, and they're going to be all over the back of Stromeri, which is, well, you can see just how much Quattrup is all over the back of Stromeri right now. Making the sound of his life incredibly uncomfortable, but there's not long to hold out because they're going to take the white flag when they come across the line. 1 lap left to go. Well, and that's all that Stromeri has to hold on for. And he'll be heading straight into the final. I mean, even if he loses out to Quattrup, Sorchuk, even Seifert and Furtwängler, who aren't far behind, he's still comfortably through in 11th.
Gap coming down a little bit out from the lead. It's gone down to just under a second, but Velgert is fine. If anything, Hammer will be pleased because he'll get a little bit of a draft from Velgert, which will help him defend against these other drivers. Stromeri, this is going to be the longest lap of the season for him because he's got so many drivers just lining up to overtake him. There goes one. Quattrup up to P7. Great recovery after contact at the final chicane just on lap 2. He's up to 7th, and now it's Sorchuk, the next up to go for the move. They're all making a dash to the inside of the circuit to cover off any potential move. There's contact in the background. Seifert's got hit by Furtwängler, I believe, and Furtwängler is up to 10th place, with Seifert on the limits now of not making it through the heat because that is the core motorsports drivers sitting on his rear.
Seifert is holding on for dear alive here. He's going to get a toe for Furtwängler all the way down the Camel Straight. It's what he needs, but he's gone defensive. Furtwängler remains out on the racing line, and I tell you what, Seifert, he's lost it. He's out of those transfer spots. Do you think so?
I think so. I don't know why else he would let them past. It's a bold call.
You can hear him short shifting as well, so it's like he's trying to burn through it. As Jordan's lost a few places because Salvatore Lani's up in third, and Nold as well, I think, has made a bit of progress.
Yeah, could that have been a slowdown? Could have been a slowdown. Or he could have maybe skipped across the grass at Lake Coombe, so we're not going to have an Apex Tech driver in third place for the second heat in a row, as this one is not decided yet. Well, I think the top 12 are decided because Seifert's a long way behind these drivers now, but still 10th place is highly coveted. And, well, 9th place really, because Stromeri is really slower than the rest of these drivers, but he would do an amazing job if he was able to hold on to P9.
Meanwhile, up front, not as close as it was in Heat 1, but the two Germans of Velget and Hammer will comfortably walk through with this one, barring any mistakes here in the closing couple of corners. Just the bus stop chicane left to go into the brakes. And they are through. Velget's going to take the victory. Hammer second. Salvatore Lani, the Pro-Am driver, third in his heat. Great result from him. Nold comes through in fourth. Then it's Jordan. Cope is going to take a little while to cross the line. Is Stromeri going to hold on to Max Verwangler here, having the last go, and taking a bit of contact there on the last couple of corners, but gets through, lives to fight another day. And that would have just been gutting for Verwangler if he'd been turned at that very late stage. Afonso and Pereira make it through. Seifert does not make it, Sam.
Yeah, that slowdown on the lap, or at least slowdown as far as I'm aware, really did catch him bad, and well, cool motorsport, so mainly batsing amongst one another there, but it all worked out well in the end to both get through. They'll be starting in 23rd or 22nd and 24th for the A final. There are the results with Velget, Hammer and Lani, the top three. The drivers outside the top 12 did not make it through, so the grid for the B final, 18 of them. Willoughby up on pole, then it's Espadina, Sproul, Eisenring, Rance, Berg. I would say none of those top six I'm particularly confident on getting through. Taras is looking very strong tonight. Then it's Sevilla, Zaharia, Boikema, Molliord could be strong, Pereira will be strong, Richard will be strong, Lauscher probably, and then it's Paul Joseph close to Pahonti. Piccolo was very strong earlier on. Piccolo, apologies. And Young was very strong as well, but it got turned at turn one. So, oh, well, okay, off the top of my head, I'm going to go for Young, Del Piccolo, Lauscher, Pereira, Morliords, and Taras.
Yeah, that's a good shout.
No one in the top six is going to make it through, that's what I'm saying.
Ooh. Let's find out, Sam. Here come the lights. Slightly longer, 14 minutes. Here we go. We are green. We are racing. Who's going to make it through from the B final? And what a launch there from Willoughby, not hanging around. Sprout coming along with him for the ride. Down into turn one and right round the outside. That goes. Espadina can't quite get it done. He does get it done there. And, wow, great start from him to try and recover the position he lost off the line. When the driver's running wide there, I think that might have been Lauscher. Or, no, Ponzi, apologies. So we look back from Willoughby. One of the effect drivers yet to get through into the final. Likewise, Del Piccolo, the only driver from Magthorns not to get through, but Sproul, look at the way he's been. Wow, Willoughby just been eaten up there on the Camel Straight. And they're going to go, well, almost free wide back out of it. Sproul is through. Espadina trying to sneak his way through. He's going to have the inside into Marmaduke. Oh, as Willoughby just runs a bit wide there. Even
frustrating for our pole sitter, and he's now outside the top six that he needs in order to progress. It was an awful start for Chris Rance. He was the 33 who barely got off the line. He dropped 6 places by the time they got into the source, and so that caused a lot of spreading out for the drivers behind, just trying to avoid hitting the back of him. So Sproul leading the way, but no one's got away so far. In fact, the entire field is one pack down to 16th place, and even the bottom two, Pahontu and Chris, aren't that far detached. That's one made for Boikema. He's dropped a place to Lauscher.
Santiago Pereira, one of your tips, up 7 places into 5th right now. There he is. Put his webcam on. Concentrating to the absolute max. Does not want to lose this position whatsoever. can't afford us. Something's happened to Laubscher, Sam. He's falling through the orbit like a stone. He's had a big incident, and that's him out. And he's gone.
Del Piccolo as well, having a problem with Pahonti.
Wow. Not wow.
It's, they've all had a congregation. Not the time for it. Young and Zahar. Well, actually, that's just Cliff's pouring through. Cliff's up to 13th. He's gained 4 places out of nowhere. That's poor just Cliff because Young. Wow, this has been a huge incident then, hasn't it? Into Stabilo.
Well, I think something's happened to Young and Zahari because I'm sure I saw them dropping a few places. I mean, but there's Victor Taras.
And Richard's gone into the pit lane. Has he jumped the start? Has he done something else? Someone's across the. I think someone cut the final chicane, which may have been Nathan Willoughby. I think may have cut the final chicane. Has he seen him start across the line? Well,
there's one thing for certain, Sam. Producer Lewis, who looks after the replays here on our studio broadcast on Apex Racing TV. He's going to be working overtime to find us those pictures. Looking forward to see those. Meanwhile, Tiago Pereira looking back to Victor Taras.
Taras hasn't got a lot of straight line speed. Pereira,
no,
very happy up the Camel Straight.
Willoughby as well. I noticed this on
he was barely moving.
Yeah, practically pedestrian in comparison to Sproul and Espadina. Just seeing Samuel Bakina. Just not able to quite get the move
and
done.
Willoughby's dropping down again. He's really barely moving now.
Oh, that's going to be a slowdown, or is that damage? No, slowdown. He's down to 11th. I think that's his chances. Never say never, but I mean that's looking like that's done and dusted in terms of Nathan Willoughby's day. It's such a shame after starting from pole. Well, that great start as well, but it doesn't quite come together for him. So, Sam, of the 3 pros, only one's making it through.
Yeah, only 2 of my picks as well are making it through at the moment, and seeing that Del Piccolo's currently a lap down, I'm not exactly fancying the chance.
He's in the pits, Sam, he's not moving. I think he's out, Laubscher's out as well. I mean, 2 big names. Kevin Richard as well, I think, another big name. Aiden Young. Yeah, big casualties in this B final.
All these people I said was going to get through. Maybe I said Molliod might get through, but he's sitting on the fringes right now, but Sproul doing what he needs in clean air, and really anyone outside, anyone in that top 10 got a chance. Don't rule out Chris Rance either. I mean, he had a rubbish start, did Rance, and that's why he's so far down. If it weren't for that bad start, I think he would probably still be in the top 6 right now, as we'll get a replay of just some of the incidents that have happened so far. You can see in the red car there, Rance so slow off the line, and we had 3 wide almost immediately.
We did, Sam, and well, let's just have a little look in the foreground there. I just carried straight on. I didn't quite catch who it was first time around, but so this is Willoughby losing those places, just absolutely eaten alive there. Down the Kennel Straight and then into Malmedy, and then was there maybe a bit of contact?
Nah,
I'm not sure.
He's just spun up the tyres. Oh, and then here's the crash, which wiped out a few of our drivers. Oh, that was so unlucky, wasn't it? Oh, so many of them getting involved.
How did Chris avoid him? He just quit out just at the, well, I'm not sure whether we've got it from Cliff's point of view, but he quit out just at the right time as the car could fly. I mean, nowhere to go, nothing you can do about that whatsoever. And that's why we had cars into the wall.
As on live pictures, Perez just cut the grass here. Oh, was that Chris? No, that was Taras, I think. Was it Taras? Daharia, that was.
Someone's on to Cameron Richard again. I think he's had another incident.
Apologies, Taras is up in 4th place, so I don't know why he was saying he's crashed out. So what were you saying?
Something's happened to Richard because he's showing us another
incident. I think he was involved.
Oh, he's heading into the pits again. I think that's just done and dusted. It's his state. Young. I mean, could get much worse for Aiden Young, could it really? I mean, lasted 1 lap in the first heat, and then there's seen contact here, which looks like, I mean, he's going to struggle to finish. But if he can catch up onto the back of the pack, he's got half a fighting chance, but I just don't, I mean, it's a tall order. How much damage has he got to that car? A gutting for the American. As you mentioned, Laubscher and Del Piccolo, we lost those 2 on the opening lap. 2 big names here from Spa in the B final. Sproul leading from Esplanada Eisenring. What? I mean, gone very quietly about his business. Up into third
Oh.
is the AM driver. That is Victor Taras right behind him there. You can see him in the background with Molyard and Pereira a little bit further back. A bit of time to play with for Ed Eisenring and Victor Taras right now. Great to see though, Sam. 2 more AMs making the final.
Yeah, this will be the most. I think we've only seen 2 so far in the first 2 rounds of the meeting there across Monza. We just had everyone else on circuit with one another. Particularly big shame for Young, just bringing it back to the point that you were making earlier on, because Young's had a very good mentality so far this season at Monza. He was just happy to be around the pros and very much playing the long game and not taking any risks. So and I don't think he's put himself in harm's way. He's just been tagged around at the start of his heats and then had a car in the middle of the circuit in the B final. So really unlucky for the American, but could see him still battling out there after taking a piss. So he's just at the fast step of the race as well, has Young. Taras is up ahead of Eisen. He's up to 3rd position now, Victor Taras. He might have eyes on the race win. He's only 1.9 seconds off the lead, and with Espadina catching up to Sproul, the top 2, if they fight, no doubt the Romanian will be in with a chance of a victory. But right now, Pereira still occupying that last place, despite cutting the grass a few laps ago. Yeah, still occupying that last transfer spot.
I tell you what, Aidan Young's on an absolute fly. He's given it his best shot. He's throwing absolutely everything at Sam. Just set fastest lap of the race. Well, in B final last time around with a 2:19.25, which is 4 tenths quicker than Samuel Sproul, who's currently leading, and 3 tenths quicker than absolutely anyone else out on track right now. And in fact, was some nearest down at 3 seconds quicker than Ponto in front of him. Something with Thiago Pereira right now, and that's Tommy Molyard in front of us. These two both up 6 places. I mean, it's getting a little bit tight. Bakima is starting to catch up with these guys. Does Pereira feel confident enough in his abilities to see this one out and get himself through, or remaining in 6th? I mean, it's not really worth risking. You're not going to start any further forward, although Molyard bouncing across the curbs there, getting very loose and leery at the rear end of his car, coming through Blanchimont.
He's got to get past Molyard, otherwise Molyard would hold him up and bring Boykema into it. So it's just a case of how quickly you can get the move done for the Portuguese. By the way, shout out to Virtual Racing School, one of the sponsors for this series. Virtual Racing School offering data packs to allow you to get faster on iRacing in over 50 different vehicles, whether that be road cars, oval cars, or even dirt cars as well. Also, of course, with a fantastic range of sim racing hardware. Do check out vrs.racing in order to get yourself their wheelbase, pedals, or new wheel rim as well. Big thanks to them for supporting the championship and supporting the channel. Molyard being caught down the straight, but this time he's going to be fine from Pereira, and we're only going to have 2 more laps after this one. Yeah, I say only. I think that's the maximum we could have had, because it will only just be 2 more laps, but it will be 2 more laps.
Right now, Sproul, Espadada, Taras, Eisenring, Molyard and Pereira, who will be making it through, but Boykema is catching onto the back of Pereira. This is not done and dusted. So yeah, looking like he's out of it in 8th. Likewise, Berg, will it be gutting for him after that great start? Rance had a rancid start and, well, fell down through the order. Has recovered up to 11th. Clister's capitalised from all the, well, absolute carnage and got himself at the 12 as well. Let's take a look at some replay.
Richard, I think his head is detached from his body.
I'll give him a 9.7 for the amount of spins achieved there from one incident.
That was noping out of that chicane for Willoughby. That's why he got a big slowdown.
It was a horrifically punishing slowdown. The slowdowns go so.
And it's not even that fast as well through that cut through. So, like, you don't gain that much from cutting the corner, and then you get this 5-second slowdown as well. So it's you got to learn, and it's only by making mistakes. that you learn what slowdowns are worth taking, what slowdowns are not. That one is one of them, a bit like this final chicane to be fair, where you need to take the corner whenever you can. As Dan Berg is demonstrating here, he will take the corner and he loses out to Nathan Willoughby there. Not a great day for Dan Berg, who I commented cursed in the first round of the championship at Brands Hatch, but so far not done the same since. Yeah, Molliord, with that gap continuing to come down. We've got 2 more laps of this race just. Or will we? Or I think no, I think this is the last lap of the race. So Corby has got to make this one pay right now. He's got 0.3 of a second to gain.
It's going to be tight, Sam, as to whether they will make this through or not. I'm not sure. We look back from Espadina. Taras is right behind him. Our top 3 still only covered by under a second. Closest like his boy Kama knows he needs to make that move. Oh, Sam. He is pushing Tiago Pereira right now to the absolute max. I mean, Pereira's actually lost time to Molliord here.
Yeah, well, I think Pereira had to go defensive against Bokema, and how close he was to be able to make that move. They were both fortunate not to spin round. As you can see, probably the windshield wiper on just to cover the spots of rubber which are attaching to his windshield. We've got 50 seconds more. I don't think that's enough time to complete this race or complete this lap. And iRacing is very harsh. Often, if there's only 4 seconds kind of leeway, it will go the way of ending the race early. And so this is what's going to count Sproul. I think he's going to take this race victory, but Taras still interested in getting that 1 extra spot on the grid.
It will also move him a row forward as well, Sam, by finishing this race in second. Has Espadina got enough in him to defend? Sproul looking comfortable. Also, just keep you up to date. Bokema is just backed off a little bit off the back of Pereira. Do these drivers know that this could well be it? How many of them realise? Yeah, the checker flag is out, Sam. Taras has a little bit of a look, trying to force a mistake out of Espadina. However, the Portuguese driver, the privateer, is not moved at all. Sproul takes victory. Espadina second. Taras, Eisenring looking into the background. Molliord. I think Pereira's going to get it over by Kema. Yeah, he does by 0.6 of a second as the round goes. Danberg.
Oh no, I thought he was going to reverse it all the way.
That's a missed opportunity. Someone has to finish the race in reverse at some stage.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a shame that. But Young actually gets him past Pahontu. Pahontu gets him past Clist in these closing stages, as well as Ohio not too far away from the Olympus esports driver. In the end, I will take this opportunity as well to thank SDK Gaming, the provider of our overlay and also our live timing. So you check out sdk-gaming.co.uk in order to get yourself a heads-up display or any of the other functions they enable on iRacing. That was good fun, and it was Sproul, Espadina, Taras, Eisenring, Molliord and Pereira who make it through to the A final two.
Those are about Bokema, Sevilla, Willoughby, Rance, Berg, Young, Clist, Zaharia, Pahontu. They're drivers who retired, Richard, Laubscher and Del Piccolo. Those last 2 on the opening lap. They are out. Well, let's head to a quick ad break right now. We'll be back on the other side, live for the final. Hello and welcome back. Not far away now from the final, about a minute away. Sam, I don't know if I'm ready for this one. I think it's going to take a lot of energy to get through this one. I think it's going to be, we're in for a wild ride here. And I don't think it's going to be anything less than.
Yeah, it's I keep repeating myself, but there's lots of drivers who can win this one, and I think it's really good that Marriott, honestly, I thought he might have the pace on the rest of them in qualifying because he was 3/10 clear, but Madsen looked faster, and I think Madsen, if he was less confident, he would have been more aggressive at the end of the heat because he would have been caring more about his grid position. I think he knows that even from third position, behind Marriott, behind Velka, he has got a fantastic chance at making his way up through the order. So I'm just hoping that the three of them can stay very close, and everyone else, you know, the likes of Burke and Co can also stay close and challenge for this 4th race win of the season.
So having a quick check through chats while we're in the closing stages of the warm-up. Dan is the legend. Unfortunately, didn't make it through, did he, Ruben Ellen? Going for him. Good job, Vic from Brocco. Lars Devan saying about Max Wangler, obviously supporting him. Picky is coming again after you all. Watch out. That's from Dennis Bart. And, well, I think that's all we've got time for because here is the grid, Sam.
Yeah, Maxime Marriott's on pole position. There's Marif Velgert, Madsen, Hammer, Burke, Lane. Your Tortoise, top 2 in the pro rounds, Nold, Koss and Jordan. We'll just go through the top 10 because there's a lot of drivers and the rest of them will cycle through for you. But watch out for Pascal Costa. He's lining up there in 17th place. He could be strong, one of the fastest drivers in the series. And maybe Victor Terrace as well. He got nothing to lose from 27th place. He was strong in his heat, so could have a chance. But yeah, any... Well, and Lane, interestingly, starting from the front in the Pro-Ams. He was very strong in practice, had a bit of an underwhelming qualifying, but just under the radar in that heat too. A bunch of them just casually got up into the top 6. And once again, Madsen leading 3 seconds till end. Every single time he leads it 3 seconds to grid. Incredible.
It's good luck, Charm. Here come the lights, Sam. Let's get ready to go racing from Spa for the final time this evening. It's We Are Green, We Are Away. And who's going to take the victory here in Belgium? It's onto the brakes. Into Source we go. They're like 2x2, they're 3x3, which does not work out. And there's someone tags someone around, and that's, well, Sorge. Well, either way, they're all making their way through. Some drivers making up his positions. João Afonso's at 4 places. Likewise is Samuel Sproul. And with Chalet, you're right. Taras and Moyord not getting away well as Thomas Cope is falling down from the order like stone right now, Sam.
Yeah, he's crashed at Eau Rouge at side by side for 2nd position. Velgert trying to hang on against Madsen, who's going to send it into Lecombe. This move didn't work for Madsen in lap 1 in his heat, but it's going to work for him this time. He's up into 2nd place and a bit of contact between the two of them. The ATRS driver of Burke holding on to that position against Hammer as the 1-8 of Koss, who would have been fancying his chances. He's found, and loads of drivers around as well.
There was contact.
Koss,
yeah.
Espedina, your Tortoise, Eisenring. Several different incidents seemingly taking place around that part of the track.
Well, I think what the catalyst for that one, Sam, was Roberts and Koss seem to have a coming together in that little gap between Lecombe and Malmedy. And that's what just started it all off. What does that mean? Well, there's a big gap emerged between 12th and 13th. Pasquale now leading the AMS. Oh, there's a big bit of contact there in the background there. There's Pereira, and I think was it Chalet potentially around there, yes.
Yeah, Chalet, who had that spin at La Source, had been able to gain back a fair few positions as Zanon is rejoining the circuits. And he falls behind those drivers now. But whoever got out of that clean have really benefited. We've got Afonso up 10 places, Pasquale up 10 places, Taras up 9 places. So a lot of changes. Costa up 8.
This flipped on its head in that midfield. Solchuk got 6, Lazarus up 8. I mean, wow. we've only just completed, well, leaders have only just completed one lap. A lot of these drivers haven't.
And your Tortoise as well getting caught up in that, so he's not going to win the Pro-Am event for the first time this season. High score in the Pro-Ams for the first 3 meetings, but definitely not going to be, it's going to be, well, at the moment, my pick for the Pro-Am Championship when it all started, Salvatore Lane in that very formidable North Sim Racing driver team livery, as we are seeing Mats Furtzwangler battling with Alessio Pasquale, who also managed to get through, and as Pasquale, at the moment, comfortable amateur leader.
Let's see, Furtzwangler hop after Pasquale there. Well, up through the field. So pretty much nose to tail for a lot of these drivers. Starting from, well, realistically, Marriott, this Alfonso right round the outside of Lazarus there, still side by side as they come through Malmedy. And onto the brakes. Through Brussels. Can't even sort themselves out. Yes, they can as well. I tell you what, Furtwängler rejuvenated, going right round the outside there to get that move done over Pasquale, not hanging around. There's 3 wide through no name, that can't work, and no, off goes Matthias Berg. Oh, well, top 4. When he was running in, well, even the top 3 at times. 2 weeks ago. As Victor Saris, has been a lot of love for him in the check of Walk Racing. Now up 12 places into 15th, and I tell you what, he's not far off your Tortoise in front of him, only half a second up the road, and well, practically touching distance, and you put money on Taras getting the move done on your Tortoise. There's this 2 Titans up front. I mean, this battle can't rage on as long as it did last time out, Sam, because we've only got 14 minutes left of this 18-minute race compared to the 1 hour time limit we had at Monza.
Velke going into Netherlands there, going so wide through Blanchemont. Oh, of course,
slow down.
Well, he's really track extending now, and that one's going to be very costly for the Impulse Racer J. He was pushing so hard to get into the draft of the cars ahead. He was willing to take the 1Xs, but he pushed it too hard into the final chicane, and we're seeing how penalising this slowdown is on the opening lap. Seemingly he's full power now. He's going to try to go alongside Keanu Bushman, and he's going to get past Bushman as well.
It is so cutting that slow down as they go side by side up the hill. Here we go, and they somehow make it through, but here comes Matthias. No, so it's Jordan, isn't it? Apologies, as we ride on board with Valga. Everyone jockeying for position. Which way do you go? Do you go left? Do you go right? Do you go down the middle? As pushing is Valga, trying to squeeze Bushman through, but it's to no avail as Samuel Jordan takes the pair of them. And wow, I thought that was going to end in absolute tears, Sam.
Well, they were both. It was a silly thing to go side by side in the first place for the pair of them, but they actually dealt with it fairly well once they got there. But once the decision has been made, they were always going to have to take much less speed, and yeah, they both lost out from that from that move. So it's a 2-horse battle then. Hammer's 2 seconds behind and doesn't seem to have the same pace as these. Jaslani doing incredibly well in 4th place overall. So it'll be Marriott versus Madsen. I think Madsen's got plenty enough pace to overtake Marriott here, but we know Nick, he's willing to take the move early on, but it's difficult to know what's going to come out of him. You can't race against Nick in terms of, you know, be passive against him, being confident that he's going to wait behind you, because he could pull the trigger at any point.
Well, let's take a little look back to what happened at the start. Try and unpick this, because, I mean, well,
it was 4 wide at one point.
It was. It could all end in tears just with 2 wide, let alone 4 wide, 3 wide, or 4, even 4 wide.
So that was Chalet being touched on. I think that's a bit of netcode, to be fair. That may have been Costa on his inside. I think he made that initial contact. And then this was Cope spinning it by himself. He'll be frustrated to cope with that.
Oh, wow, that's a big one. Oh, and it came across the track as well. Luckily, I mean, caught one of the 3D wrap cars that sent him skywards. And
what? Wow.
Okay, this is going to take a lot to try and pick apart this one. I mean, no wonder why we had so many cars off, Sam. Oh, I mean, there were 5 wide there at one point trying to navigate the incident.
And then that was Chalet having a secondary incident.
Yeah, that's the one.
I mean, I'm hoping to even pick apart that first one. Like, there was some 3D Squadra Corsair drivers involved.
Change for the lead here. Madsen pulls alongside Marriott. And this is surely going to be the move to get it done for the Dane. He's ahead. He takes control over the Frenchman. But they've got to, now, they need to be clever about this, because if they start battling, they've got time to play with. They've got 2.2 seconds to hammer behind them. As you see, Mario Valga, the driver who did fill that void originally, falling down through the order after that slowdown and trying to pick his way back up and trying to slide past Keanu Bushman there. Getting it done. And hoping his teammate Costa could come along for the ride, so then they can all gang up on Jordan ahead of him. But, I mean, all those two fights, they've already lost, well, another 10th to Hammer. That then brings Hammer to the equation. He has Salvatore Lani not far behind him. And all of a sudden, a pro-am on the podium overall, all of a sudden becomes a bit more possible.
Yeah, I don't think Marriott's going to fight against Madsen for the next few laps. I think he's going to wait behind until a couple of laps remaining. Because he knows Marriott, he's not fast enough to break the draft, but I'm fairly certain that the Frenchman is fast enough to stay in the draft of Madsen. Yeah, it's a very small gap at the moment between the two. There was only a tenth of a second. Rob was trying to make his way through, and that was a bit messy. I think it may have been Pereira maybe who made contact with Cope earlier on. He like sent him to the moon back, but I'm not 100% sure. It was a grey car, and he's got some grey on that car. Oh man, he's done the steering in as well. He'll need to take his fast repair. Will Pereira, Sproul's just behind him. Sproul's already been in the pits. It's incredible how Sproul's actually still not that far away from the pack, considering he's been in the pits, but he's had been able to push.
Well, that's the thing, Sam. Probably been in, taking his fast repair, and then just gone, do you know what? Let's go out and just try and see what happens. And sometimes you have some of your best driving where it's just like, I don't care what happens, whatever happens, happens, because you've got no pressure on yourself.
Koss into the pits. Is that a drive-through? It could be. I think it is.
Well, that's proving.
A few drivers, one driver's got 16, but I'm not entirely sure who it is. Yeah, it's Koss. So this is a drive-through penalty. Fortunately, it's a very short drive-through around this circuit, but he still won't be happy about it.
Very generous in picking the Grand Prix pits rather than endurance here, Sam.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that would be.
I think at that point, you say goodbye for the day.
Well, I'm trying so hard to not lose the pun on his name of what it could be. That's on a postcard. I'd stopped myself 3 times, Sam, from saying it. Sorchuk there getting past Lazarus. Costly. There we go.
You couldn't help yourself.
No, I couldn't. I had to get it out of my system, Sam. Had to. As well, this is a cracking little battle. We've got all over 10th place. Who said people just give up and don't bother battling further down the field? Because Sorchuk, Lazarus and Afonso here are all nose to tail, and there's only about half a second covering the 3 of them.
Would be, I believe, any of these guys' best results of the season if they could finish like this. As they did fairly well back at Monza. I remember he was very much in the wars. Got certainly a top 20 out of it, but had a few setbacks. It hasn't been an easy round for Afonso. They had to progress only just in 11th position in his heat. Yeah, really a nice handful of points coming his way if he can maintain this place. Velgert still on the recovery drive, but he's got his teammate Pascal Costa not too far behind. Costa's simply not on the pace tonight, maybe with a lack of practice, because he is usually a match for Velgert, if not faster than Velgert, and yet it's Velgert who's the one carving his way through the order. Costa's just trying to keep tabs. He's going to send it on the ATRS driver. Enough width for drivers to go alongside around this part of the circuit. Costa's going to try to protect his teammate and try to benefit himself here. As almost into the wall goes Keanu Bushman, who has to slow right down.
He's got to slow down.
Yeah,
he's got to slow down
for that.
I think it was part of the updates to Spa where they changed the track limits due to obviously where Mercedes were complaining about it. Obviously where they put the F1 cards to the service, saying that, you know, where their drivers, you know, if the off-tracks are different to compare what they are in real life, the drivers get used to the iRacing way, and then when it comes to racing in real life, they have to learn it all over again. So iRacing went, okay, let's change them. And I believe that could be one of the new ones, as we're seeing, well, That is Keanu Bushman losing out as Velgut helping Costa with the slipstream on the inside there to get the move done. But Bushman, he's fighting this one back, Sam, and he's not letting Costa have this easy whatsoever as well. It's Corey Lazarus, and I think as Bushman, no, he's still not giving this one up.
I think Bushman was a bit frustrated with the move that Velgut did earlier on, and now he's seeing that impulse delivery, and he is fighting as much as he can, as he's totally right to do. He's not done anything unfair so far, albeit pushing him out quite that wide through No Name is certainly pushing the limit. Costa momentarily ahead, and this is costing them any chance of battling the drivers ahead as they are running in tandem. This is a painful corner because you want to use all the space that you possibly can, yet they're having to lift off the throttle. Finally, Costa should have the upper hand here.
I don't think he is, Sam.
Is staying there, and such good grip offline it seems that these drivers are able to find. They certainly can't go alongside around this part of the circuit. They will have to slot in behind. Costa is up into 8th place, but Bushman will undoubtedly be coming back at him when he gets into the jumps.
So, I mean, look at that. They've lost
At least 2 seconds.
2.5 for being side by side for what, a good third of the circuit. I wouldn't put it past them to go side by side for a good chunk of it yet again, because I can see Keanu Bushman trying to slip it up the inside here. No, decides against it. I think he might be biding time, waiting for the slipstream, but look who's come along for the ride behind him. Sawchuk, Lazarus, Afonso.
Oh, spin in the background.
That's Bushman. Bushman.
What's he done there?
Has he lit up the rears?
Yeah, because he was behind Costa still, wasn't he? So he must have been by himself.
No, he's behind Furtwangler, who's... Well, he's up 8. Yeah, Afonso's up 11. Victor Taras, there's been a lot of love for him in the chat. He is up an incredible 13 places as the Walk Racing driver. Now,
here we go for the race lead. Marriott wants to try to get past Madsen, but Madsen is holding on. Hammer, I must say, has really handled the third position that he's currently in well, because he's been under pressure from Nane from the start, but still being able to keep pace as this is Velgut trying to complete his comeback really on Samuel Jordan, but Jordan not letting him have it.
You see, it's just shaping it, just saying, no, 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 Mario. He might have had it easy on getting past everyone else. What a different cookie. And the Brit defending from the German here. These two countries with their famed rivalry, and well, continuing on here. Let's take a look at some replays here. So that is Madsen and
Molliot?
That's Molliot.
And then that was ambitious from Roberts. Roberts actually having to serve a drive-through penalty, and I think 4 of those extras that he got being from that. And then that was near the start that your tortoise spinning round. Several others being caught up in that later on, and then of course that was the contest. So I think that's what maybe frustrated quite a bit Bushman, and then from that point onwards he was fighting tooth and nail with anyone in an impulse delivery.
I mean, it was, I'm just going to count them up now, Sam. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Final lap starts, by the way.
9 corners in the row, I believe, from these two.
Yeah, incredible racing, and in the end very respectful from the two of them, as on live pictures you can see in the bottom right. Madsen having to go defensive. Hammer is catching up to these guys, but it won't be in time. Marriott's too close. He's too close around this part of the circuit, unless he's going to send it into Eau Rouge. Is he going to send it into Eau Rouge? Does he pull alongside? No, he's just going to give him a bump here, but he's too close here because he's not going to be able to get a momentum. Now he drops back, but he's going to have to spend half the Kemmel Straight just to be able to maintain it. And now, here comes the launch for the race win.
Can he get it done? Madsen knows he's in trouble. Defends down deep to the inside. Marriott with the overspeed on the outside. Who's going to come out in front as they head into Lecombe? They're side by side. Nobody wants to give this up. Now, look who's close right up onto him. Philip Hammer's there. He's closing 3 temps. Make it 2 temps as they're still side by side. This battle for the lead has become a 3-way fight now. We're right on board with Philip Hammer. This is his moment. This is his time to shine, as Madsen and Marriott eventually sort themselves out. at its advantage, Madsen. But I tell you what, Lane's not far off. They battle again. Lane gets into this fight too. As you can see, Madsen just, wow, moving to the middle and making Marriott go, well, you got to pick left or right.
Tesberg with an issue further down the order, by the way, but yeah, Madsen, oh well, he's defending into every corner. He's got to be so careful to spare from the attacks from behind. It will be into the final chicane surely that this one will come down to, and you can absolutely guarantee the line that Madsen will be taking. He will be leaving no space whatsoever on the inside. This one is personal between these two after denying any chance of Madsen taking the race win last time out at Monza. Madsen desperately wants to get his own back on the championship.
Sam, I'm sure he was slowing it up on the apex there just to frustrate Marriott, and once again there, so he's covering him off. Here we go, through Blanchemont. What can Hammer do as Marriott just dips it onto the curb there? And I think Madsen might have just done enough here, Sam, to make it count.
Nothing that he could do. It was a slightly poor Blanchemont, and it's going to be Madsen to take his first race win of the season.
Oh, well, a weave across the line, drifting. Stuttgart drifters. Madsen victorious. Marriott second. Hammer third. Lane wins in Pro-Am. Great try for him to be fourth overall. Saw checking a Fonseca and ran out that podium in Pro-Am. Victor Favas, the biggest position gain, up 15 places. Great drive from him from the back of the field. What a recovery. Brescali takes victory in Am.
Chalet, there's not much left of that car. Oh, he's got... no, you can't serve it. How many times do we see this? You can't serve a slow drive through on the last lap. It doesn't work.
Unless he's only just picked up on the last lap, Sam.
No, you can't. You still can't serve it though. You may as well just finish the race and take the 40 seconds. But he's learned that now. He won't be making that mistake again, because he will learn that in about 10 seconds when the results are published.
Well, on that bombshell, I think it's probably time for a break, isn't it?
It is, yes.
It is. We'll see you on the other side. We'll be chatting to some of the drivers and we'll take you through some classified results here from Spa. We'll see you shortly. Welcome back, and wow, what a final it was. I said we were in for a bit of a crazy final. Didn't fail to deliver, did it? Wasn't wrong. I could feel it in my bones, Sam.
From back to front, the chaos of that opening lap, which saw 10, 15 drivers have their races compromised, And then the fights at the front as well, and the rivalry that we really wanted to see, and Madsen finally getting the upper hand. Marriott, to be fair, not with a race win so far this season either to his name, but Madsen getting that first race win himself. Technically
he did, but then had it taken away from him last week because of the contact with Madsen. So, yeah, it's I mean, I think it was where they started battling earlier on. I think that's what caused him to maybe think twice at having a lunge at Madsen. Obviously, maybe, like you said, a little bit fresh in the memory from where they had that contact 2 weeks ago at Monza. So he knew that Philipp Hammer, I mean, he took so much time out of them. And I spotted on his webcam, Sam, whenever we've seen him in pre-exit rounds, Philipp Hammer, he's always been, you know, driving along, smiling away, you know, absolutely having a whale of a time. Tonight, no. There was no smile on his face. It was proper laser focus.
Just some antics.
Yeah, just, you know, casual, sparse shenanigans.
Well, shall we go through the final results then for this round 4 of the championship, the A final results? Nick Madsen winning out 2/10 it was over Maxime Marriott. Hammer in third. Lane finally living up to my expectations of him winning the Pro-Am title, and it's still possible, but a long way to go. He's going to need many more good performances like that in order to close the gap to Tortoise. Then it was Nold, Jordan, Velguts in 7th place. Then it was Pascal Costa, Olaf Sorchuk, João Afonso in 10th place. Then it was Corey Lazarus, Victor Taras, Keanu Bushman, Alessio Pasquale was comfortably top of the AMS. Then it was Albert Quatchup, Matthias Burke, who was one of the first drivers to have issues on that first lap. Then it was Pedro Espadina, Thorsten Seifert in 18th, Thiago Pereira, Dominic Roberts, who had a drive-through, Daniel Zanon, Alexander Chalet, Matteo Stromeri, Haldas Tortoise with by far his worst meeting of the season, Samuel Sproul, Max Furtwängler, Igor Koss, and Tommy Molliord. 28. I think there were 2 more. But yeah, that was the field for the drivers out there. And yeah, was
Thomas Cope and Ed Eisenring.
Yeah, shame for Cope, wasn't he? He didn't really have the pace for much of the meeting, and then spun out by himself.
Well, yeah, and then spun through the air as well. Just completely and utterly finish him off.
Did a lot of 360s in the end.
Also, like Tekken, like KO, game over for him. Shall we have a chat to some of the drivers?
Yeah, let's go for it.
I think so. I believe we've got Nick Madsen on the line. Nick, welcome along and congratulations. It's got to feel good, and a bit of redemption after what happened at Monza.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Finally, I could win a final, and yeah, I'm really happy with the result today. I really needed the points, so. But yeah, only taking 2 points off Maxim today was not optimal. But season is still long, and everything can happen.
Most definitely. I mean, he really seemed to be pushing you, you know, mentally throughout the race. Did it feel like that? Did you feel like you had it in hand, or you know, were you feeling that pressure?
Yeah, I really felt the pressure. Spa is really difficult down the Camel Straight, and I'm watching Maxim in the beginning of the iRacing week, and he seems really strong here. So I really need to up my game to be as close to him. As we saw in qualifying, he was quite quick, but once you're in a draft here at Spa, it's really difficult to get away. Unless the guy behind is making a mistake.
Definitely. And just talk us through that final lap there, Nick, because it seemed to me, especially in the latter parts of the race, you were positioning your car more towards the middle of the track to make him either go incredibly shallow or incredibly wide. But then once you got to the apex and he was behind you seemed to be almost slowing up just to try and like back him up into Philipp Hammer. Was that right, or was it just where you were just trying to modulate it and, you know, keep things on your terms and under control?
You're really totally right. This is Spa is really also like Monza. It's a mind game, and you really have to position your car in the right place. And the guys behind us was catching up, but I was not looking at my lap times. I was just looking in my mirrors for Maxim. But I think he still have in mind that he had a penalty from Monza, so he kept it quite clean, and he tried his best to make a move. But yeah, it was a really nerve-wracking last lap, because the points is really important for me in the championship. And yeah, I hoped for some of the guys behind Maxim to make a move so I could get a little bit of clean air, but a little bit of a gap at the last lap, but it doesn't seem, and he was just pushing me in the neck all the way around on last lap.
Definitely. Wow. Congratulations, Nick. Victory here today, well deserved. Your first one of the season. Get shafted at the mark. That's Nick Madsen, your winner here in the final from Spa. Well, I'll tell you what, really interesting how he was, we called it right in commentary, deliberately slowing up on the apex, just to partially to back him, that man there, Maxime Marriott, back him up into Philip Hammer, and then try and force that attack so then he could just scamper off the road and, have it a lot more comfortable for those last few corners. But it just didn't quite work out that way.
Yeah, I think it was a smart tactic from me. I do think that was partially in Maxime's mind on that last lap, knowing that he couldn't fully commit to an outside line, knowing that if Nick forced him, crowded him out of the circuit, forced him to pick up a slowdown, something like that, then of course he was at threat of losing 2, 3, 4 positions. So yeah, smart driving there from Nick, and a very well-deserved victory, and it could be the first of a few. And it's the rivalry that we really like now between those two drivers. We shouldn't forget the likes of Belka. Where would he have been if it weren't for that slowdown that he picked up? Costa, off day really for him, wasn't it? Your Tortoise, of course, not really.
Philip Hammer as well. I think you can just about still at this stage of the season include him. He's been pretty consistent, Sam, and I think, will he fall? I think he might fall away as the season progresses, certainly into the second half of the season. But I think, certainly even up to around 5 or 6, I think he might still be in with a shout. But it could just go absolutely anyway. But as you say, I think you taught us, I think this is definitely going to be his drop week, no questions asked. A disaster by his high standards. Yeah,
didn't have the pace really in qualifying. To be fair, made up a lot of places in his heat, so he still scored good points for his heat. But it's the A final that you get the majority of your points for, and he did not get many points in that A final. So yeah, just hope really that's he's penetrable for the likes of Lane and Co, who will be trying to cut down that lead.
You say hope. What about Thomas Cope? Because
your better ones.
I know. Oh, thank you, Sam. Take them while I can with these. They're small little compliments when they come. But but another talk about we talked about Haradashi Tortoise and disastrous weekends. Another one there, prime example. Not his fault. That big incident sent him skywards.
He crashed before that. I'd say the crash beforehand was his fault.
Okay, well, I'm trying to be kind.
Too kind. Well, unfortunately, Thomas, of course, missed round 2 as well. So, this can't be his drop score either. So, yeah, frustrating for Thomas, whose championship is very unlikely, and that was part of him. And then up into
it's that secondary contact.
Does he get a third hit? No. He goes far up enough.
It was one of the freely wrapped Squad Corsa cars, I believe, that made that contact as he came through. Amazing that they weren't taken up with it.
And then they were involved in the second day incident as well at Lake Coombe, and where they were trying to.
We were talking about this one during the break, weren't we? We're going to have to just replay that one about 9 or 10 times just to try and work out quite what happened there. Hopefully next week we'll try and bring you a bit more better in-depth analysis on that one, but because it was just left, right, centre, it's so hard to tell. See, here we go. So this is the onboard. There's one flying Thomas Cope, and bang, a glancing blow. iRacing incidents and netcode giveth, they taketh sometimes. That was definitely one that got away there.
Yeah.
Normally that ends in death 99% of the time.
Absolutely. And of course, in the Amateur Championship as well, I think Pasquale being able to take the race win tonight.
Yes.
And you know, same as what we usually see in the AMs, where a few of them had a chance at getting through. I think Stromeri was looking strong at parts. Willoughby had pole position in the B final. Frankly, he had a bit of a mare in that B final, made a couple of mistakes. And so, yeah, you cut out those couple of mistakes. And it's a lot about pace. And I don't think we should just say, you know, it's about consistency, because that's assuming that everyone's the same pace, which they're not. But, like, they're quick enough to fight for the title. And arguably the easy side of it is cutting out those mistakes, because they got the potential already. Well,
you mentioned an effect drive. You can see on the screen right now, Willoughby having a bit of a mare. Another one to have a bit of a mare was Dom Roberts. I mean, definitely has got pace in abundance, but just seems to be a magnet for bad luck.
Didn't do qualifying as well. I don't think he had a qualifying ban. So, or maybe he invalidated his lap times.
Yeah, he did have invalidated lap times, which was. So, he was on the back foot start away. I mean, fascinating watching him come from the field. Max Furtwängler, on the other hand, had a good result. One we haven't spoken about so far, Salvatore Lane, not just the win here in Pro-Am, but 4th overall. That's a big statement, and this is where his season kicks on.
Yeah. I think he could be very strong for the rest of the season. Got lots of experience, of course, to Salvatore. So, yeah, he's one of the favourites for sure in the Pro-Ams. Of course, next time out, Tim, we are heading to Sebring for the next round of the championship. Not necessarily a combination that I think of when it comes to these cars. I get so used to IMSA being around that circuit, and also the Radicals as well. I know that community are very fond of that circuit. But in the Porsche Cup, I think it is visited a fair amount, but it's not necessarily one that immediately comes to mind. And a bit of a halfway house between the likes of Brands Hatch and VAR, and of course Spa that we visited tonight.
Yeah, of course, you know, the rolling hills of Spa, which is what Sebring's known for in its flat airfield.
I'd say the halfway house. It's a mixture. It's a mixture of the two.
Yeah. Anyway,
you need to. I mean, we need to get into this.
We have certain tracks that
trauma.
Well, it's the same for you with Daytona.
Your hatred of Sebring. Let us know if you like Sebring. I think it's all right, but
I think Daytona's good. You hate it.
Yeah. Well, you are.
Tit for tat, man.
Yeah. That I think. Overtaking will be a lot trickier at Sebring. Overtaking, often we see it's very tricky. I think we saw it in the prototypes just a few weeks ago in Apex Racing League. So, like qualifying much more important than what we saw at Spa. We're not going to see the same level of tactical driving that we saw tonight.
It's always tricky around there in IMSA. Obviously, saw that with the Sebring, the first iRacing official, well, the second official technically. Of the multi-class endurance series. Technical, it's hard to overtake when you've got different classes, let alone cars that are all exactly the same. So, well, apart from the setup and the drivers, but that's another story. Going to be fascinating to see. But I think on that bombshell, it's time to end. We can be here all night talking about which circuits are best and which ones we hate. But thanks very much for joining us. Well, what can we say? It's been an entertaining evening. Started off with Clio's, it finished off with Porsche. Thank you for joining us. Well, we'll see you in a week's time. We're live from Sebring. I've been Tim Cox with Sam Fitzpatrick. Good night.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.